One of these regiments was created because a king was running for his life. Wait, what? You've seen the bearskin hats, the unblinking guards outside Buckingham Palace, and maybe even laughed at a tourist trying to make them break character. But behind the pageantry are some of the most elite infantry units in the British Army, forged in blood, rebellion and war. These aren't just parade ground soldiers, these are men who have stormed beaches, held the line in Afghanistan and still guard the monarchy with bayonets fixed. So how did these five nearly identical looking regiments become so different? Today we'll unravel the history of the five legendary foot guards, and by the end you'll never look at the bearskin hat the same way again. Welcome back to the war. Formed in 1656, the Grenadier Guards are the oldest regiment of foot guards, and their story starts in exile. King Charles II was living in Bruges after his father was executed in the English Civil War. But even in exile, he needed protection, so he raised a regiment of loyal English troops, the bodyguard of a king with no throne. They weren't just ceremonial. These men saw real action in the Spanish Netherlands and later in the Battle of Waterloo, where they earned the title Grenadier after defeating Napoleon's elite grenadiers. But here's a twist. They didn't even carry grenades. The name came after Waterloo. And those bearskin hats, they were copied from the French grenadiers they defeated as a trophy. Grenadier Guards wear their plume on the left and are traditionally the first in line during state occasions. But beyond ceremony, they fought in World War trenches, World War II, Bosnia and Afghanistan. They may look ceremonial, but their resume is bloody. Were you surprised to learn the Grenadiers got their name after Waterloo? What other British regimental myths have you heard? And right now, some of you are thinking, okay, but how do you tell these regiments apart? Stay with me, as later you'll discover how one regiment isn't even technically British, but fought in nearly every British war for over 350 years. Founded in 1650, the Coldstream Guards were born on the wrong side of history. They were part of Oliver Cromwell's New Model Army. Yes, the very army that helped execute Charles I. But after Cromwell died, chaos erupted. In a shocking twist, Colonel George Monk marched the Coldstreamers from Scotland to London, not to fight, but to restore Charles II to the throne. Their motto, Nulli Secundus, second to none. A cheeky nod to the fact that they're technically the second regiment, but maybe better. They wear their plume on the right, and their buttons are spaced in pairs, a subtle dig at their rivals, the Grenadiers. Coldstream Guards were at Alamein, Normandy and Helvin Province. You'll find them fighting hard, then saluting sharp on Horse Guard parade. Which do you think matters most? Tradition or combat effectiveness? Let us know in the comments. At this point in the video, many viewers start dropping off, but here's where it gets more intense. The next regiment you're about to meet, they claim to be the original foot guards, despite what history books say, and their founding involves a royal rivalry, Scottish pride and a battle for recognition. Stick around, you'll want to hear this. The Scots Guards were officially raised in 1642, making them older than the Coldstream and Grenadiers. But they only joined the English establishment in 1686. They were originally formed to guard King Charles I, which gets awkward considering he was executed anyway. This regiment wears no plume, and their buttons are grouped in threes. They carry a fierce pride, having fought in some of Britain's darkest and greatest battles: Crimea, the Somme, Italy, the Falklands, and most recently in Iraq and Afghanistan. Here's a jaw-dropper. In World War I, more than 2,500 Scots Guards were killed. That's more than the current size of the entire regiment today. In the Falklands War, they fought in the Battle of Mount Tumbledown, taking the high ground in brutal, close-quarter fighting that helped end the war. And yes, they did it while still being ready to wear bearskin caps days later. Quick breather. If you're loving these stories of British regiments, we've got more. Check out our membership programme for exclusive perks. And also, we've recently launched our merch lineup. Check it out. Now back to it, because the next regiment, it's got a shamrock on its cap and a chip on its shoulder. The Irish Guards were formed in 1900 by Queen Victoria in recognition of Irish soldiers' bravery in the Second Boer War. They're nicknamed the Mix, a term they proudly reclaimed. Irish Guards wear a blue plume on the right and have buttons in fours. Their mascot, a massive Irish wolfhound who marches in full regalia. In World War I, an Irish Guards officer named John Kipling, yes, the son of author Rudyard Kipling, was killed in action, prompting his father's famous poem, My Boy Jack. Despite Irish independence in 1922, the regiment remained loyal to the Crown and has served in World War I, World War II and modern day conflicts like Kosovo and Afghanistan. In 2011, Prince William joined the regiment as colonel, but recently, in 2022, Catherine, Princess of Wales, was appointed colonel of the Irish Guards by King Charles III. Do you think the royal connection helps or hurts the regiment's image? Drop your thoughts below. The Welsh Guards were the last to be formed in 1915 during World War I. Their unique identifier is a green and white plume on the left and buttons in fives. Despite being the youngest, they made up for it with courage. Just months after forming, they were already fighting in Loos, and later saw action at Monte Cassino, Palestine and the Falklands. In 1982, during the Falklands War, the Welsh Guards suffered heavy casualties when the RFA Sir Galahad was bombed at Bluff Clove. 48 were killed in total, but 32 were from the Welsh Guards. The footage of the bombing was broadcast worldwide, turning the regiment's sacrifice into a symbol of the high cost of war. Today, they're still on active deployment and stand shoulder to shoulder with the older regiments in every operation. So what started as 5 regiments guarding kings, queens and palaces has become a living, breathing force of history and modern warfare. They fight together under the household division, but their rivalries are as fierce as ever, reflected in plumes, buttons and battlefield legacies. And every time you see that iconic red tunic and towering bearskin, remember, you're not looking at a statue, you're looking at a soldier with centuries of blood, honour and battle behind them. If you thought the Guards were all pageantry and no punch, hopefully now you see why they're second to none. So what do you think? Is there still a place for regiments built on tradition in modern warfare? Comment below with your favourite regiment and tell us which ones you want to see covered in a future video. But if you want to go even deeper into the British Army, check out our video on the Royal Artillery, the King of Battle. Hi soldiers, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave your thoughts in the comments, and check out our membership and merch programs. And don't forget to check back in again soon. That's an order.